panelists joining us. We have distinguished panelists joining us to talk about the different issues plaguing the Nigerian banking system. So I'm going to start in no particular order with Mr. Frederick Okwagba. He's an experienced business administrator, chartered economist, and certified financial compliance professional with a deep insight into banking operations in Nigeria. Mr. Okwagba holds an HND in business administration from Yaba College of Technology, an MBA from Federal University of Technology, Akure, and an associate chartered economist from ACE. He's a designated compliance professional, is a former deputy manager and team lead in branch cluster control, and also an area compliance officer at First Bank Nigeria. What else do we need? Who else do we need to join issues with the rest of us today than a well decorated, well certified, knowledgeable banker like Mr. Frederick Okwagba? Let's welcome him with a yes, 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 welcome, welcome, welcome in the comment box. So let's do that. Also joining us as the distinguished panelist this afternoon is a banking professional with over 17 years experience in the banking and financial services industry. Mr. Ibukun Akinka is a business development person, officer, is into corporate commercial banking, is into risk management, and that's just touching on a bit of the things he does in the banking sector. He started his professional career in Nigeria. Following his migration to Canada 5 years ago, he's continued in financial institutions. Is currently a senior manager, credit compliance and risk at one of Canada's major financial institutions. It's my pleasure to welcome Mr. Ibukun Akinka to the People's Parliament today. Let's give him a warm welcome, 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 welcome in the
Thank you
comment
for
box.
having me. Thank you.
You are welcome. And I understand that Ademola Oni is trying to join us, pending when he can. Let me let you know that he's an investment and commercial banker with expertise in.
He has joined, please. Ademola Oni.
Fantastic. So we welcome Mr. Ademola Oni, an investment and commercial banker with expertise in corporate finance and advisory, business development and strategy, risk management and credit analysis, transaction origination and execution, as well as client relationship management. Oh, wow. Mr. Ademola Oni is also an active member of Royal Commonwealth House UK, Nigerian German Business Council, and the Commonwealth Business Council, among others. So we have three distinguished panelists sitting with us at the People's Parliament today to discuss the various issues in the banking industry. I am your host and moderator today. I am Funke Treasure. On behalf of Rescue Nigeria, I welcome everyone.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Wale Croft. As you all know, we are at the People's Parliament, set up or organized by Rescue Nigeria. We are part of the organization Initiative for Good and Informed Citizenship. That's the main NGO that we have set up, under which we run Rescue Nigeria. And I think I like what Mr. Akinyika said earlier. This movement is about unifying people with common goal to bring us all together and to stand together to make a success of our nation. We can see that things are not as they ought, and we want to just bring like-minded people to work together to effect the change that we all want. We are not a political party, and we are not associated with any political party. We are not connected to any politicians. We are citizen-centered, citizen-focused, and we want to be part of informed and active citizens that want to really, truly change our country from the grassroots up. Next Next slide, please. Tunde, you can see the next slide. Thank you. So why Rescue Nigeria? I think it's a part of that introduction in the sense that we want to bring together like-minded people. We want people who are educated and informed, who are serving as leaders in their respective industries or in any walks of life in the society, to work towards making us citizens aware and citizen engaged and citizen, passionate and really committed, and owning the responsibility. And it's when we own it ourselves that we feel that we can, demand for better and functioning society from those who are in leadership. And everybody knows that the sum of the whole is greater than the pieces of them. So this is to generate power from people with a strong motivation and clear, insight into how this country can be great. And we need people who are not just standing on the sidelines, people who are prepared to make the sacrifices, like some of you are this afternoon. People who are here, we all belong to different social media platforms. We have publicized this, and we are encouraging people to be part of this. Part of the sacrifice that we want people to make is when we call meetings like this, people to be part of it, people to participate, people to go out there and invite other people. So you're here today because somebody within our movement invited you. On some platform that you belong to, somebody posted our flyer on there to invite you. And you have taken the first step yourself to want to be here, to be part of this movement. And so we need everybody to partner with us to support the achievement of the goal. And that goal is to have enlightened citizens, to have citizens that take responsibility and ownership for the betterment of our country, but citizens not just in words alone, but in action, who wants to be part of this movement and who wants to work with us to support and to go out there and make it happen as well. Next slide, please. Next steps for you. Some of the attendees here are already volunteers, but some may not have volunteered. So please register on rescue.ng to become a member. Also, please register to volunteer. We have different areas where we want people to cover. We have a research, we have educational element of it. We are looking for people who will be prepared to go out there. We have the communication arm of things, and we're looking at different expertise or different skill set that people can bring into generating the kind of support that we're looking for, generating, increase the volume of the movement. We want to be a household name so that everyone across Nigeria, we're aiming for 10 million people to join us, to have a groundswell. We will start with 1 million because somebody might say 10 million, how are you going to get there? But people talk about the fact that how do you eat an elephant? You have to do it piece by piece, but we can't do it alone. So that's why we need volunteers, we need membership, we need everybody to take ownership, we need everybody to buy into this, and we need everybody to support us and to drive it with us. Next slide, please. So part of all of this as well is that we have all these social media handles. Please join us and please link up with us, connect with us, tag us, repost all of our messages. We've got a wealth of information that we got from People's Parliament in the past, that we have their videos and reports and so on that you can share with other people. You can read about us, you can learn more about us, you can bring new ideas to us, but we need everybody to please be committed to please stand up and be counted, and to please spread the message to everyone. Thank you very much.
Well, I will start from Ademola Oni. He has this quote. He says, Nigerian banks have been accused of high interest rates, stringent loan conditions, and inefficient services, which can indeed harm businesses. While not all Nigerian banks engage in these practices, effective regulations can promote a healthier banking system when not overly restrictive and balanced. I'm going to be taking you up on that quote, Mr. Ademola Oni, and also a quote from Mr. Ibukun Akinka. He says, the Nigeria of our dreams is achievable. However, it will require our collective efforts. And that's where I'm going to be starting today. Mr. Ibukun Akinka, I'm going to give you just about 2 minutes to speak to your quotes. What do you mean by Nigeria of our dreams is achievable? But it requires our collective efforts. What collective efforts do we need to put forward or to do or to, galvanize in the banking sector in order to overcome the myriad issues we're dealing with there?
Okay, thank you. My quote is not specific to the banking industry, actually. It's just a general quote. And we can also narrow it down to the banking industry, but speaking generally, we used to talk about Nigeria being, not what it should be. We are not where we are supposed to be. And, we just point fingers most times at the leaders, when most times it's the joint responsibility of the followers and the leaders as well. And I would say this forum is addressing that by ensuring that the populace is enlightened, and where, an enlightened populace would bring the desired change. So one of the things that we need to do is, enlighten the populace. And yeah, so it's a general quote that the Nigerian of our dreams is achievable. We're not just going to sit down or start pointing fingers or saying it's our leaders. It's the joint responsibility of everyone. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Mr. Ademola Oni, can you speak to your quote? Let's have a deeper understanding of that quote. Mr. Ademola Oni, please.
Yeah. We can.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right. Good afternoon, sir. Thank you so much for we only want to pray that we have a best Nigeria. Yeah. What I mean with this code is what is affecting basically all Nigerians, unless if you are not in every small scale and medium scale business, they will survive. Nigerian banks are not well represented, and I have a whole lot of money going to raise long time. I believe the president is going direction of as the program progresses, I will highlight more.
Back to Mr. Kwagman, I was asking you which of the challenges in the banking sector in Nigeria.
Okay, like I said, and you took me up on enabling environment. We have a lot of challenges in the environment, starting with the government policy, technology, and of course, the litigation or judiciary system. They are all challenges concerning the banking industry, most especially technology. Now that we are in the technology age, our internet or network system, we are being compelled to use other channels in the banking industry, and most of them are frustrating the citizens, the customers. Let me use that word. Frustrating. You want to do a transfer, it takes God knows. And the transfer might be consummated, the customer account being debited, and the network. The other client is not credited, or you want to use the automated teller machine, that is the popularly known as ATM. You go to the ATM machine, you put in your card, press in what you want to collect, and your account is debited, no cash dispense. And they will tell you to take 5 working days for the reversal. Those environments are not enabling for the citizen, and it doesn't help at all. We need an enabling environment. We need to improve on our technology. Our technology is nothing to write about. I'm sorry, some banks are improving, but we are not still there because of the policy guiding the National Commission.
All right, Mr. Kwagba, you've touched on one that affects a lot of customers in the banking industry. But first of all, you said government policy, technology, and judicial system. I've been wondering how the judicial system affects the challenges in the banking industry. But let me quickly say that recognizing that problematic transfers, ATM reversals, is one of our biggest challenges, is being spot on, because I've lost count the many times that I personally have undergone that sort of challenge. Thank you for that. Let me quickly move on to Mr. King. Yeah.
Thank you. I am going to say the Nigerian on the streets is having difficulties accessing banking services, and I can divide it into the several parts of banking services that are available. The first thing is when I, place my funds in the bank for safekeeping. There are banking services associated with that. I should be able to, conduct my services in a seamless manner. I should be able to do transfers. I should be assured that when I need my funds from the ATM, I'll be able to get them. When I need to transfer funds, I should be rest assured that it's not going to hang somewhere and be stranded for, like, let's say, like 1 week or 2 weeks. So the common man is facing several challenges accessing those banking services. And then when we move it forward, the bank is meant to be a bridge between the surplus side and the deficit side. So when I need, let's say I want to get a loan from the bank, I should be able to get it, right? But when you ask the common man, I think that's something difficult. I'm not sure the number of the Nigerian people who are able to get those kind of services. So that's from the consumer side, and we can look at so many challenges that the banks are also facing. Just like any other service, just like any other industry in Nigeria right now, let's even say our telecommunication services, we are not enjoying the best of services. You can't take Nigeria out of the overall business environment. So for a bank operating in Nigeria, they also have their challenges. We talk about technology, banks investing in technology. How maybe we're going to get that. They need to do more. They need to invest more in technology. However, we have instances whereby NIBS is down. So NIBS is, let's say, the technology connecting the bank. So if NIBS is down, there's nothing a specific bank can do. That means your transfers are not going to go through. So overall, the banking industry is also suffering from the lack of, adequate infrastructure in the Nigerian economy itself. Infrastructural gaps in the technology industry in Nigeria as a whole. And I'm not sure how much time we have, but I can take it back to when I started banking. Which when if we have elder people there, they can also take it further than when I started. But I know then you used to do banking. You can't do you can only go to the branch where you've opened your account. You can't do interbank transactions, and then technology started evolving, and then we are at the point whereby you can do your transactions from anywhere. And I think it got to a time whereby people are being encouraged to do their transactions online. Before, you had to go physically to the branches to do that. So right now, everyone is doing their transactions online, but do we have the infrastructure to take care of that? I have some statistics that I got while preparing for this. Uh, the number
Okay,
of
so
bank accounts.
Mr. Kinka, let me pause
Yeah.
you there. Don't jump. Oh.
Okay.
Let me pause you there and let me go to Ademola. I'll come back to the statistics because
Okay.
I love statistics. They kind of give us a story. It's telling a story on its own. But let's go to Ademola Oni. What do you think are the biggest challenges facing Nigerian citizens when it comes to accessing and using banking services?
Okay. Okay. Good evening once again. Thank you for the question. I am going to be differ with other participants in the sense that we have the enabling environment, and I will give example. After the consolidation of the then governor of central bank, Soludo, there, we know how Nigerian banks manage. We know the kind of competition among the banks. We knew what happened. Every corner, Intercontinental and all those banks, the way they are spreading their wings, opening branches everywhere. But what happened? Where did you got it wrong? We have an enabling environment because number one, we have a very strict and somebody that knows what he's doing, that knows banking, a professor of economics, knows what is going on. And he is ready to sledge anybody with sledgehammer, anybody that wants to disrupt the vision. Do you understand? But along the line, after the consolidation, then the other student governor came in, you will see the competition to the extent that I could remember I was still in the banking then. We were practically begging people to come and take money because there's a target that government, the central bank, set for each bank. On every sector, you must disburse. You must disburse to people. We are all in this country that majority of us, it is one bank that brings that revolution, that people have started buying new cars, new television, new generator, new household equipment. But all that has gone now. We just have a bunch of cowboys that they are ready to kill the economy. They are just taking the opportunity because of the people at the Emos affairs in the Central Bank of Nigeria. They are taking advantage of them because those that in the Emos affairs, which is especially the Central Bank, they are the ones creating unnecessary sharp practices for this industry. It's just
okay,
quite unfortunate.
Mr. Oni, you have said the problem with the Nigerian banking industry started after consolidation. There was competition, then the deterioration setting after the change of guards of CBN governors, and then you say there's an enabling environment, but that it's the people, the cowboys in charge, to use your words, who are pandering to the people in government who are making things difficult for people. You are beginning to talk about central bank, which is my second question. So I'm just going to ask you the question so you can answer that, as you go on with the CBN aspect that you want to talk about. And it is that what is the extent of the problems in the banking industry, particularly as regards the CBN?
Yes, thank you for that question, ma. What I think is they are just putting paddy into the Amos affair because number one, I don't see where we have all these professors of economics, and you are now bringing somebody that has interest in the bank, an MD of a bank and a shareholder of a bank to come and regulate its industry. How is he going to, like Yoruba will say, if I'm permitted, you know, I don't know. There's no how.
Hold on, because we have non-Yoruba people here, I believe. So what the means is that if you give me hoe, I would create a mound and I will bring it towards myself. In other words, yes, it will be advantageous to me.
Yeah. Okay. Like when you bring somebody that have special interest in the bank, he's owner of a bank, he's a big shareholder of some bank, and you now bring that person to come and regulate that industry. How is it possible? How is it possible? I can give examples. I know they will create so many laws, the amendment law that they have so many laws that banks, they are not supposed to even see them there. They have amended it because their own is already there. You can't try all this nonsense during the Soludo and the current Emir Sanusi. You can't try all this thing. Why will I want to take money from my ATM and the system will not disburse, will debit me, you now tell me to? In fact, Sanusi will not want to hear that. It's because there's no discipline, and the major part of it is because they are putting paddy at the Amos affairs. So our bankers are not disciplined. All the strict law that our forefathers have put in place, they have eroded it. They have amended it to suit themselves. It's just always painful when we just find this country in this. Look at what they are doing. What they are doing in Nigeria, they can't do in Ghana. Our other banks that has opened up Ghana economy, if I'm permitted, I can mention their names. They can't do what they are doing in this country in Ghana because their CBN is so strict. What they are doing here, they can't do it in Kenya. They cannot even try it in the UK. And look at it. When you look at the geographical and the capacity of Nigerian banks in all African countries now, Nigerian banks are dominating. So why are we now having that effect in this country? Why are we not giving loans to SME and other sectors? Why are we killing Nigerian businesses with high interest rates? Because the CBN they can't regulate them. Why are they doing round tripping? I was in one bank. You cannot do more than, the law says you can't do more than $10,000 per day. Sir, this bank, they do more than that. The day I question them, I have to go to our international ops, and they show me the law. And so many other banks did not even know, and they are doing it, and they make. Okay, now go to their balance sheet. Now you will see what are they doing. The 70%, 60 to 70% of their profit are from the FX. Look at the kind of affluent life they are living, killing businesses. Nothing is good. Nobody's checking them. Nobody's putting them. The tenor of the cap of the MD, when when they serve at their MD or ED, they will still come back behind. They will still look at the way they went to go and re-register the bank, something holding company, something limited. It's painful. It's painful. It's painful. Yeah.
All right. Thanks very much, Mr. Demola Oni. You've actually opened up a can of worms, as it were. Indiscipline, nepotism, in rules that hitherto made our banks strong, killing SMEs, round trippings, 10 of the MDs tampered with and all of that. Mr. Okwagba, are you in agreement with all that Mr. Demolaoni has said?
To an extent, but he said something.
Where do you disagree?
Yeah, that we have, when you are talking of an enabling environment, all things being equal, you are talking of structures on ground, institutions are functioning. He's the one saying it again. I'm talking about the policy. He called them the cowboy. This in the cowboy where they have come and they are domineering, and it's true. How will you appoint an MD of a bank that has shareholder to be running the central bank, the Federal Reserve? Of course, the adage he gave was the right one. He will do everything to his favor to ensure that he enrich his own shares. And of course, why are they not giving loans to the SME? They've killed the SME. I agree with him, but they are giving loan to some sort of sector, some set of this thing, paddy, they are giving them loan. And most of them, they don't pay loan. They don't pay back their loans. I don't want to mention name. We all know the people. They gave them loan. And at the end of the day, the bank will write them off. And meanwhile, the SME that need to assess the loan to move forward, is the SME that really develop the economies. An economy where the risk sector is not performing. That is not an economy. That is not an economy.
Isn't it the role of the
banking industry?
Mr. Okwagba, please listen to me. Isn't it the CBN's prerogative to monitor what's going on in the commercial banks and all other kinds of banks that we have and ensure that there is compliance?
Yes. The CBN should be the one, or is the one that's supposed to monitor them. But if the person monitoring, then that's why I said policy, the policy of the CBN, is it being carried out? He talked about round tripping. Is the banking industry following the FX policy? If they are following the FX policy, there will not be round tripping. They are circumventing the policy. The CBN will say give loan to SME. How many banks give loan to the SMEs? They don't. Unless, like he said, paddy, man knows man. You want to give loan to somebody, you are asking for something that you're asking for a crocodile skin or speed. How is that possible for an SME?
All right. Thank you, Mr. Okwagba. Mr. Kinka, do you have any, do you want to agree with all we've heard?
Yeah, I think I agree to a large extent, but when we say Nigerian banks don't lend to SME, it's when we just say that we should be able to ask why are they not doing it. So I think we have like 25 Nigerian banks, and did they just meet and say, oh, we don't want to lend to the SMEs? Or and I think the sector is actually ripe for another round of, let's say, consolidation of the banks. We need more big banks. But when we ask why are they not lending to the SMEs, we know naturally that for a bank, your non-performing loans are not meant to go above 5%. Whenever it's going above 5%, then the bank will start having issues. We start having issues. So everywhere, the retail sector, the SME sector is very risky. And in Nigeria is riskier. It's more risky in Nigeria. I'm going to give an example. The NPR currently in Nigeria is 26%. So that's
wait a minute. Some of us don't know what that acronym
So the
stands.
NPR is the interest rate set by the government. So if it's 26%, and that's when you're lending to SME or retail, I said that's the riskiest segment of the economy. You have to put high premium when you want to lend to that sector. So if risk-free is going for, let's say the base is 26%, that means if you want to lend to SME, you're going to be doing that at over 30%. I'm not sure what business you want to do at 30% that you're going to have good returns. That's one. When you look at the exchange rate has, you know what's going on. You know what's going on in inflation as well. So if I have a bank and I want to put out 100 naira, if I give 100 naira to the SME with this kind of environment, am I sure that only 5%, 5 naira, or if I give 1 naira to 100 people, am I sure that only 5 people are going to default in this kind of environment? The answer is no. The answer is no. And so if we are talking about banks not lending to SMEs, we need to look at, the economy as a whole. And
But Mr. Kinka, what then is the role of microfinance banks? Isn't it closer to the SMEs that you're talking about?
we
And
have
don't you
them.
have them?
Yeah. Yeah, we have them, and I'm not sure if we have maybe anybody who is doing lending at that level, but I have done retail banking, and I have also spoken with people who do all this kind of micro lending. Believe me, it's very, very tough. They need to, they do when they lend to. I'll give example. Let's say the Lapo people who do Lapo, people who do SIP. You have SIP as well. They do unconventional things to be able to recover their funds.
Like telling
They call them
people
some
that,
kind of names because they know how tough they are. And it's
yeah,
because it's tough for those people that they are lending to. Like I said, if you do business at 30%, how are you going to make money? These people don't even know, people who get these funds don't even know if they make money or not. So the economy itself needs to develop to a point whereby it's going to be easier for the Nigerian banks to be able to lend to SMEs and the retail sector.
all right, thank you very much. Let's move on now. Let's look at solutions. I know we've talked extensively about the challenges we're facing. Let's explore the solution. What specific initiatives are being undertaken by banks, fintech companies, or the government to improve financial inclusion in Nigeria? I will start with you because I just ended the CBN with you.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I think, like I said, we were coming from somewhere, and I like how my colleague Ademola Oni also mentioned what happened during the banking consolidation era in 2005. I think the industry needs another consolidation, and I'm aware there's a directive for banks to go and raise their capital. And the CBN governor is also specific that you have to raise tier one capital, not some reserves. So that means we need fresh funds, because what I've observed is that the Nigerian banks, the banking industry in Nigeria is skewed, and you only have just the big banks. If I ask everyone here right now, where do you have your accounts? It's only the major banks. And I think they are relaxed, and I think they are not competitive in terms of delivering service. They just want to make profit right now. We need someone who is going to revolutionize service in the banking industry right now. So maybe another round of consolidation, maybe we need it. I'm going to give an example before I left Nigeria. I'm going to mention a name. Let's say GTB has just one branch in Akure. The only other branch is inside the university. And you have people, when you have to line up to enter a bank, then you're going to have issues. You see people queuing to enter the banking in all, then you're going to have issues. Like I said, before, the bank needs to invest in infrastructure. Like I said, you said it wasn't time for me to reel out my statistics. Maybe it's time now. The number of bank accounts in Nigeria has grown from 65 million in 2016 to 133 million in 2021. That means the number of bank accounts have doubled within the space of 5 years. Also, people are being asked to go to, the e-channels. The mobile money transactions have also grown 30 times within a year. And our branches, are they building more branches? Are they employing more hands? The answer is no, because I checked, the number of junior employees are falling instead of rising to meet the growing number of accounts. It has fallen from 41,000 in 2017 to just 36,000 in 2021. So instead of the banks to increase capacity, capacity is reducing. And that's shocking. And you also have, and maybe playing the devil's advocate, maybe the banks are also having issues because you have a lot of brain drain. You have people leaving the country, and I can't say for a fact that you can have someone in customer service who has been there for 10 or 20 years like you have in developed world, right? But the bank needs to do more. They need to, invest in their capacity. They need to train their staff adequately, because you find out that most times the staff themselves don't even know what to do. And there needs to be, I think, service delivery. If I use let's say a bank comes up and say, we are assuring you that whenever you use our ATM, there's not going to be downtime. And if unfortunately you are debited, we promise you that within 3 hours, within 4 hours, within 5 hours, we're going to reverse it. I'm sure everyone is going to, start doing business with that bank. And I think that's what the sector needs right now.
All right, thank you very much. Gabriel Olabode is asking about increase in fintech, whether it's affecting the banks. But I'm going to take that question to Demola Oni now. Can you kindly speak to that question? I know I'm asking for solutions, but please speak to the increase in fintech services or fintech organization firms, whether they're affecting the banks and making the banks lose capacity. Ademola Oni, please.
Yeah, thank you very much. Fintech is not the problem with the bank, because the fintech they are cutting out big time, because fintech, what they're just doing is just to receive money and to transfer, and they are making money on each transfer they are doing for their customer. So because number one, we have the new set of bankers that are lazy. I'm sorry to use that word. And we have new set of regulatory bodies that they are lazy as well. In the sense that, number one, like what Mr. Ibukun said, after the consolidation, we know the aggressiveness, we know how the branches were rolling out, bringing up everywhere all over the country. In fact, I can mention some banks. Every 2 weeks, they must recruit. They must recruit. So we are taking banking to people in their houses. But nowadays, they have consolidated. They've made money. So they don't want to really do much more core banking. The CBN need to really, really regulate them, for me. In the sense that every year there must be numbers of branches that each bank must open. Number two, CBN must still tighten up their policy, and there must be a constant supervision for the bank. They must still put cap to the salary of the executives down to the middle management. Do you understand? All these things will put the bank in check. But the way the bankers are practicing banking nowadays, because it is their own that is in the aims of affairs, so they just do what they like. You understand? fintech is not even it's not giving them anything. What they don't, have you seen any bank? It's even long. I saw some people, I saw some bankers come to my office to come and look for business or all those things. They don't. I think they are even nearly scrapping that aggressiveness of marketing. You understand? And those aggressive of marketing, it really helps the economy, because it will even make some of bankers to learn. The little thing I learned in terms of business for me to take decisions on setting up businesses is when I started marketing and I learned how they are doing this. And then I now come back to the office, sit down, and structure the loan to convince my bosses. I will tell them, okay, this is the way out. In case this thing is going to go this way, let's go this way. Not that we will just rely on collateral. Can I shock you? Do you know that if you have a brilliant business idea and the collateral you have is in Songo or Omowe, they will not do it. No matter how impactful.
Thanks. Are you back now?
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. Okay, let me repeat that. I said, do you know that if you have a very brilliant business idea and the rest of it, the collateral you have is in Mowe like Songo, the banks will not, they won't even listen to you. But if you have a most foolish idea and they say, and your property is in Ikeja or VI or Nikoyi, forget it, it's done. They are just lending against collateral. So I'm still pushing the blame back to the regulatory body. CBN needs to be restructured.
Okay, I'll return to you. Just hold it there. Let me go to Mr. Okumagba. We've heard about Okwagba, sorry. We've heard about competitive banking being a thing of the past. We've also heard that there is no marketing per se, and I can attest to the fact that it's been a while. Any bank called me to ask me for anything, or that anybody came to me to say, oh, this banking service or the other. So let me come to you, Mr. Okwagba. First of all, what solutions do you think we should be looking at in the banking sector, given all the challenges that you panelists have enumerated today? And then we'll come back to the issue of competitiveness and aggressive marketing. Let's hear your solutions first.
I think, like my colleague Ademola Oni said, the CBN, they should up their task, their policy of regulating. They must regulate the banks, or else they will do what they want to do. If you don't regulate them, they will do what they will do. The interest rate is high, so they know where to go to lend. Like Mr. Oni said, you have a brilliant this thing, because it's not being regulated. You have a brilliant idea, and the collateral is in Mowe or Songo. They will not attend to you. So the CBN need to regulate these cowboys, and of course, so that they will not, most of the profit they declare, are they real tangible profits? Are they real tangible profits?
Because I was coming to this issue of profit, Mr. Okwagba. Every time we hear this bank is declaring this profit, this one profit, and they're not small profits of little margins, they are huge profits. And we wonder, in the same economy, how are they doing it? So now that you've touched on it, kindly expatiate.
Yes, because to me, I don't really, because most of them are paper profits.
Really?
That does not mean that they don't make profit. They do, but the profit is overblown.
Isn't that unethical in itself? That's unethical.
It's unethical, and that is why the CBN has to do a real banking supervision, like Mr. Ademola Oni said. Re-banking supervision. Look at the case of Aaron. A reputable an accountant firm audit that firm. And today, where is Aaron? Where are they? You see, if the banking supervision segment of the CBN are not really regulating the bank the way, supervising them the way they ought to be supervised, they will do what they ought not to do. And that is why till today, we are still engaged in round tripping in the forest sector. Why should that be?
Okay.
So to me, the banking supervision arm of the CBN, they should rise up with honest policy and guideline to supervise the banking with honest people. Because if the policy are there and the person running with it, if it's not honest, we are still back to where we are.
Okay, so much for solution expected from the CBN, and I don't think we can leave CBN so soon. The issue of competitiveness in banking, it looks like when one takes the heat away from something, then it becomes lukewarm, and then it becomes cold. Mr. Ademola Oni was speaking to the lack of aggressive marketing and competitiveness, real competitiveness in the banks. Please quickly speak to that before I come to the issue of hawking POS like bread going on in most parts of Nigeria now. Please speak to the competitiveness. Do you agree with Mr. Ademola Oni there? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Sorry, who is the question directed at? You did not
I
state.
Ademola Oni.
Mr. Kwagba.
You said?
Yes, I was still with you. I was saying that.
I didn't know. Yeah.
Yes. Speak to the competitiveness and aggressive marketing that Mr. Ademola Oni talked about. Do you agree with him that there is no such thing happening anymore?
Of course, there's no aggressiveness and competitive banking, because like you said, how many banks storm the market, the roadside for marketing these days? They hardly do that. Most of them are comfortable, and most of the banks, they are not healthy. So how do they aggressively market the populace?
Okay, I'll leave it at that. But then let me come to the issue of hawking POS like bread. I mean, in Lagos today, you wake up in the morning, you hear POS, POS, POS. And
yes.
Like, yeah. But in the banks, I mean, I hear this every morning. I'm like, this is absurd. And you hear different people like, Agege bread, POS, POS. Coming on here. Right? So what do we attribute this development to?
Well, no, you see, the banking, I think the banking association, there's an aspect of in the banking industry, the agent banking. They are one of the agent banking services, rendering services. That was coined out by that was one of the CBN policy with the Bankers Association, that there should be POS, but the POS is not being run vis-a-vis the policy of the CBN. The POS is being run. I don't know how to describe the running of the POS in Nigeria. The POS as a banking agent is supposed to be a good and other way to ensure that people don't crowd in the corners of your street. You need a financial services. They should render it with a minimal charges. But these days, it has been something else.
Okay.
Cash is being seen with the POS, while the ATM machines are not cashed. loaded. Then you see there's an insider deal in there. Why will your ATM don't have back and the agents attached to the banks are having cash and the ATM machine are not loaded with cash? And there's fundamentally there's something wrong.
And in addition to that, if you go inside the banking hall, there's a limit to the cash that will be dispensed to you.
Well,
so
that
then,
is money. That is money. That is CBN fiscal policy. I don't know how it comes to that, but I know that's supposed to be a form of regulating cash in circulation. But that's what I'm saying. You go to the bank, they are giving you, but you go to the POS, you can take more than what the banks is giving. Then there's an issue. The POS will give you cash more than what the bank is giving.
That's true. That's the point I'm making. In the bank, I remember taking a trip to Akure, and the POS lady said, well, that's how much I can give you. If we go to the bank, they won't give us up to 50,000
exactly.
naira. Right? Which I think is really not
it's
good.
Sad. It's sad.
50K from my account if I have that much in my account. But let me move on to Mr. Akinka. Do you have a different perspective to this? Like I gave it POS.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think the problem is still because transactions in Nigeria are still, being done by cash. The aim of the cashless policy is for us to be able to use less of cash. You want to pay for your fuel, you're able to use your POS. And unfortunately, that purpose is being defeated, and everyone still needs cash for their day-to-day activities. It still comes back to, at the end of the day, it will seem as if we are dumping on CBN, but it still comes down to regulation. I'm going to give an example. I can remember 2008, 2009, when ATM started, becoming an in thing. I know banks would come up with, oh, whenever we are going, I used to be a business developer then, and then our branch managers, our regional managers would give us targets like, please come up with an idea of where we can put an offsite ATM to make money, because the banks were actually, it was profitable. And let's not shy away from it. When the banks are here to make money, they should be able to make money. So when they cite offsite ATMs, they have to make money from it because it comes at a cost. And so the banks were citing offsite ATMs, and then the CBN came up. So because there was a not on us transaction, I think they usually charge 65 naira. And then the CBN came and said you cannot charge not on us transactions anymore. That means if you go and use your card on those offsite ATMs, they are going to be, there's no revenue coming to the banks, but it costs the banks to be able to provide that services. They are going to, cash management service. They're going to pay the staff who come weekends. If there are technological issues, people will come and, so when that policy came out, there was no incentive for the banks to continue to deploy offsite ATMs. I think before I left, let's say around 2019, there was now a policy that, oh, they return those charges. And they said, I'm not sure what it is right now, but they said they would only charge upon the third transaction. I'm not sure what it is, but the CBN, the regulator, killed deployment of ATM terminals by removing that charges, because banks providing that services, they should be able to make money from it. You can regulate how much they make, but removing it totally, killed that, innovative idea or that need to be able to deploy offsite ATMs. And I'm going to go to this question here that says fintech. I think fintech, they have developed the banking industry. I'm going to use one or two examples. I can remember when we're trying to encourage people to use POS, one of the issues we usually have then was, network outage. And, these POS, they use SIM cards that we use, and then they have network issues. So it used to be a very big issue. But I was speaking with one of my colleagues recently, and he was talking about money point POS, that those POS are they 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 work very well. They have little downtime, and these were deployed by one of these fintechs, right? If I'm right. Another thing is I used to ask people why is everyone having a PalmPay account, OPay account, or all those
Okay. Yeah.
accounts, and they said it's because their transfers are very reliable.
That's
So you could say that those fintechs, they are, bringing they are
value.
upping the game of service delivery in Nigeria. However, I think the issue that those fintechs are having is, with the regulatory authorities for PalmPay, for OPI. I think you can open accounts. I think the level of KYC required to open those accounts, and I think CBN is coming out on them. So I think and I also know, I'm not sure, one of the major banks, they are also sponsoring fintechs, because I could remember, I think in 2012 there was this, when mobile wallet started in Kenya. It's revolutionized, the game in Kenya. They were able to reach a lot of unbanked people, and we were meant to start the same thing in Nigeria. However, there was the fear that if the telecoms, because in Kenya, it was the telecommunications company that was in charge of mobile money in Kenya. So there was the fear that if we do that, the telecommunications company will now have funds more than the Nigerian banks. And so the CBN did not give those telecommunication companies the license to be able to do mobile money then. And it was just so, like we said, I think the CBN is maybe pampering the Nigerian banks. And I think, like I said, the time is ripe for another wave of banking service provider in Nigeria that is going to champion service delivery. And I think the time is now.
Thank you very much. Incisive indeed. Let me come to you, Ademola Oni. I know that, like me, you must have been hearing POS all over Lagos. What's your take on this quickly as we move on to other challenges? Ademola Oni, are you there?
Yes, please. Yes, please. Well done. Yeah. My other colleagues, they have really touched major of the points. But for me, I'm still hammering on the central bank and the bank and the bank, in the sense that, number one, after consolidation, we know how every bank deploys the ATM in every corner, even in front of our estate here, every corner. Because number one, the then CBN governor, they put, there was a car. They are making profit on it. You understand? Because if I use your own bank ATM, there's a certain amount they are going to take. Maybe it's 4 naira. I think it's 4 naira or 5 naira then. And the bank, they will share it among themselves, the service provider, the owner of the ATM, and the owner, the issuance bank. It's just like, I think it's 4 naira then. So that then when we now see that when any customer now see that he's going to pay 4 naira, he will make sure he goes to his own bank ATM in order not to pay that amount of money. Sir, the banks are making money and a huge profit. Then what goes wrong? Number two, do you know that there was an error? There's an error when Emir Sanusi was CBN governor. Are you aware that in every deposit in your account, whether savings or current account, banks must pay you interest at the end of the month? But before, it wasn't like that. It was when Sanusi came in, he now called the attention of the regulatory body to that policy. And during that 4 years, whether you have current account or this thing, or any amount you have in your this thing, they will pay you interest. The bank are still surviving then. The bank are making huge profit. So what happened? Why do they want to close the channels of ATM? Why are they replacing it with POS? Do you understand? If there's nothing wrong, there's somebody is making money that they are taking advantage of lack of supervision. If I don't want to say lack of good policy, because we have the policy, because somebody was there before and he made sure that some of the policies was brought into practice. They practice that, and the bank, they survive, they compete among themselves. Madam, I must tell you that all this POS is being owned by bankers. Majority of all those POS operators, they just put somebody there. When you trade, you do KYC on the account holders of those POS. You will see that 50% of it will be the bank, from the bankers, and maybe like 20% of it will be from their relations. Do you understand? Why will ATM will not work in front of a bank? Why? And you now put policy. It's because somebody came in after Sanusi and amended those policies. So the federal government really need to bring in some committee of professors of economics. They should go to advanced countries. Let them go and see what majority of us have opportunity to travel out of this country. Is this the way they are running their banking there? This is not the way they are running their banking there. So the POS, they make sure the people at in the central bank, they just create an artificial policy for bankers to keep on making money, keep on ripping off the populace. So
okay, let's leave it there. Let's leave it here, Demola Oni. I know you're passionate about this and you're really upset about the lack of supervision and the indiscipline pervading the banks in Nigeria. But let's quickly, I'm going to remain with you and go to double transactions. I know Mr. Drojaye has left about 3 comments on that. And I say the banks are killing even their customers silently. We're dying silently. Why? Because you make a transaction, they take from your money. Yeah, for that transaction, they charge you for that. At the end of the week, they also charge you for maintenance. And I'm wondering why you're already charging me for maintenance, but then every transaction I make, you're taking from it. Mr. Drojaye says, even the person you're sending to, they also charge that person. What do you say to this? Is this the norm in the banking industry?
When we were there, that is norm. And I don't think that is what is applicable in abroad. It's still some people came into central bank to change those policies and laws. You cannot, why can I want to transfer money? In fact, before, if I don't want to use e-channel, because e-channel you must pay for the service. So if you now go to inside the bank to do the conventional transfer, you are not supposed to pay. But now they change it. Whether you come into the bank or God will want to punish your enemy, you want to go and use their toilet, they will still debit you for that. Do you understand? So where are those policies of those days? Because I believe it is only the e-channels the bank is supposed to be charging. It's only on e-channel. So that POS, that double charges this thing, it's still bordering on central bank.
And lack of supervision and indiscipline.
I will just round up because number one, we have some companies that are already dealing with the bank now. At the end of the day, you will see that the bank they'll just put some debit on your account. And when you raise it, it will be something else. But there's a law that says when banks steal from your account, they must send an apology for you. They should reverse the money plus commercial interest rate and do return to central bank. Majority of Nigerians don't know that. And when you raise it, can I continue?
Yes, please continue.
Yeah. When you raise it, They will just tell you, I'm sorry, that is what is happening to $10 and Zenith Bank now. Do you understand? I have cases of that on my table. They will steal your money. And what the law says that wherever you discover that bank do any sharp practices on your account, write them. Immediately you write them, they must within 7 days, they must get back to you and apologize and return the money with commercial interest rate and return the money back to you and do report back to Central Bank of Nigeria. But now, we have several of them that will take to court. Example is Innocent and GTB. You can see what happened. You can see the way they wanted to suffocate life out of that man. And whereas they are the one that stole the money. All those laws, some bankers still want that to be amended. They don't want to hear forensic audit on your own account because they were just stealing. You can see how many billions they stole from $10 account. So it is still lack of supervision, and by the time you now still get to court, they will still want to buy, banks still want to buy their way out of it. If you are not strong, you are not using social media to shout at them, they will still twist the hand of law. So
all right, right. I hear you loudly, Mr. Oni. I hear you loudly. And I know, you see that point you just made? If you go on Twitter now and you look at the thread of comments on Twitter, you will see that that's an avenue that Nigerians have devised to get the attention of banks. You're reading something that's totally unrelated with banking, and then somebody says, Access Bank, if you don't give me back my money, I'm going to do. You see the bank respond immediately. And there was some other person who say, I've been doing this, I've been trying to get your attention for what number of weeks, you're not, but I am putting it here now, the bank will reply. It's another phenomenon worth researching actually academically. But thank you for touching on that. Let me quickly go, and that's where I put off my video, so I can read some of the comments we have here and have your panelists respond to them. Wally Croft is saying CBN regulation is useless. If it's not being adhered to and there is no enforcement, customers are being blatantly robbed in broad daylight by POS vendors. Therein lies the non-enabling environment. The rule of law is just non-existent. Bumi says, I think there's a general lack of trust in the banking system and institutions in Nigeria, with good reasons too. How can the banks build back trust to enable the public enjoy the services and help to build the economy? Low financial literacy has added to individuals being swindled. What are banks doing or can do to increase or help build financial literacy? So two questions in one there. I'm going to ask you panelists to answer Bumi's questions, two of them. How can the banks build back trust? That's assuming that they even want to build back trust, or they even want our trust in the first instance. The second one is low financial literacy. What are banks doing or can do to increase or help build financial literacy? So over to you, panelists. Let me start with Mr. Okwagba. Is Mr. Okwagba still with us?
Yes, I'm with you.
Okay, please speak to those two questions, building back trust and financial literacy.
Yeah, building back trust has to do with a good consumer protection on the consumer. There are no consumer protection rights in this part of the world. You want to build on trust on the bank, you must get a consumer protection, because one, like he talked about crediting this thing. I don't see anywhere your account is being credited and you are being debited. They call it stamp duty. It's all fraud to me. You cannot say I deposit money. Banking is for me to deposit money. Why will I deposit money? Or I transfer a credit comes to my account and you want to take the money? Even dividend warrant of your investment, and the policy say that your this thing will not already withholding tax has been taken, but when the dividend warrant is credited to your account, they still take stamp duty, whereas they have already taken it, which is double charges. Local financial literacy, well, like I said, again,
hello, Mr.
the
Fred
bank has to
Okwagwa.
create awareness for their customers. The bank has to do a lot of awareness to their customer, so that they will be aware of all their products and the rest. Those days they come up with a lot of jingle and flyers to say, look, this is what you are doing, this is what you are doing. If somebody comes like this and say this or that, they are not from us. There is a lot of things not right. The banks have gone into their cooler because I don't think they have made enough money, so they are sharing it, so they don't care about the goose that lays the eggs.
There you go. All right, thank you very much, Mr. Okwagwa. Let me move on to Mr. Kenka now. Building of trust by banks, financial literacy, banks taking the lead, what do you think?
That was why I said the bank needs to build trust, and by building trust, you need to build capacity. They need to actually build capacity. I showed the data, the number of clients has increased, the number of accounts has increased, the number of employees are reducing instead of going up. So that's an anomaly. And I know the operating environment is difficult. I know there are issues to technology usage in Nigeria, but they need to do their best. They need to build that trust. Like I said, if you have a bank that promises and says, we can assure you that when you use our ATM, it's going to be working. And in the case that there is a dispense error, within 6 hours, it will be reversed. I think that would be a good place to start, having service level SLAs to where when you have issues, if you have dispense errors, if it's resolved within 24 hours. But I think where we have issues is that the bank does not have the capacity to deal with these complaints. They are not building the capacity. Like I said, most people are doing transactions online right now. It's going more than 30 times, but what it means is that they also need to increase their capacity, their staffing requirements. You should be able to log your dispense error on your mobile banking and get it resolved without even going to the banks, right? And going to these issues of POS, I think if I am a branch manager and I don't know what kind of how we monitor service in the banking industry right now. Before, you used to have a lot of things to measure service delivery in the Nigerian banks. You have mystery shoppers. So mystery shoppers were people who would pretend to be customers and come to the bank, and they're going to do a recording of the conversation with the bank employees. And they're going to play that at the management meeting. And so you will be able to see the kind of service you are rendering. You used to have banks, they will rate themselves based on service delivery. I don't think we have that anymore. If I have a branch and someone is citing a POS beside me, that's a failure for the bank itself, because if someone is confident enough to come and cite a POS, so let's go back to the need for POS. It's for agency banking, right? It's for banking the unbanked. So that means where you don't have banks, they are now meant to provide POS services. So in rural areas, in places where there's a considerable distance to the branch, so that when you calculate the transport fare that you are going to use to go to the ATM and get your funds, it's going to be better for you to just patronize that POS. But in the instance where you now have someone staying in front of the bank to now compete with you, to have that confidence, it's 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 a verdict on the bank and the kind of service they are rendering in the first instance. And I know we used to have a lot of data, reading the uptime of ATM. Is your ATM down? Anytime your ATM down, you will see the regional managers calling. I'm not sure if we still have that. I know Nigerians, and I think we need to also distinguish between the banks and the bankers. We can't distinguish them, but this is Nigeria, where I know then the bank would say the bank has measures to see when your ATM has stopped dispensing, but you have bankers who would devise a means. They would go into that bank and just do something to the machine. At the back end, it will be showing as if the ATM is working. Meanwhile, it's not working. They've done something, they've tampered with it so that the report would not go back end to the management to see that this ATM has stopped working. So it still comes down to the bank. They need to, develop capacity, and CBN as a whole, they need to up their game. And, there are a lot of policies back and forth with the government. My colleague talked about, the stamp duty. It's a very, very crazy idea. It made no sense for you to charge me for every transaction that I was doing. So there are some transactions that, they are not charged by the banks, but are charged by, the government, the regulatory agencies and all that. So, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. King. I'm told that we have just about 3 minutes left for this conversation. I mean, I believe there should be a part two to this, because the CBN issue alone in banking in Nigeria should take just one parliament. Because as we can see, we barely scratched the surface, considering the number of questions I have and issues that we have even touched at all. But we have to close. And in closing, I'm going to ask the panelists to speak to how. I wish I can do this. I think it would take a lot of time to ask you to give successful examples from other African countries, but I know some of you have spoken to what obtains in other countries outside Nigeria. So I'm just going to ask you to give your closing charges as we bring the conversation to a close on the People's Parliament today. So I'm looking at you, Mr. Kinka, so I'm going to start with you. Your closing charge as you wrap up.
I think I think we're gonna get there. We started from somewhere. We are not where we were some decades ago, right? So we're gonna get there. Unfortunately, it just seems as if we reversed on so many progresses that we've achieved. But I think for us as the common man, who is enjoying this service, I think the first thing is for us to be informed. Know your right as a customer, know your right as a client, your interactions with the bank. Try and document it as much as possible. Try and make your interactions be via emails. And for those service complaints, there are some specific emails. There are some specific guidelines about if you have a dispenser error, if you have a failed transfer. Try and read up on what the CBN has said. I think there's a consumer protection agency. There are also guidelines. There are also standards. There are emails you can copy. There are sometimes you send an email to a bank, they don't respond. You just copy the CBN complaint and they're going to answer you right away. So try and stay informed and try and handle the banks professionally and document all your conversations with the banks.
Thank you very much. Document all your conversations with the bank. Copy CBN. You see them jump up and do the right thing. Let me come to Mr. Okwagwa.
Yeah, like what Ibukun said.
Mr. Tinka said, yes.
As a customer, know your right. Document every transaction you have with your bank. There are policy guiding you as a consumer, and there are equally policy guiding the bank as well. Know the policy. Don't go beyond the policy of your own right. Don't infringe on the policy of the bank. so that the bank will not infringe on your own policy to shortchange you. Try and be regulated on your own self before being regulated. About you being a honest customer as well, try and know every transaction that goes into your account and every debit or every credit that goes into your account, and you follow up. The bank will be at their toes when you come to them.
All right, thank you very much. Follow up with know what's coming in and what's going out of your account. And finally, I come to you, Mr. Ademola Oni, your closing charge.
All right. Thank you very much, everybody. I don't have much to say than still going back to CBN, because I know that Nigerian bankers, they are very, very brilliant. Because
they're very what?
They are brilliant.
They are brilliant.
Yes, because the reason why I said so, because they operate in other countries and they behave. They satisfy their customers there. And I don't know why back here in Nigeria, they will not give us that excellent services that others are enjoying in other countries. Do you understand? But the point is, because they are taking advantage of federal government stroke central bank policy. So it's not that whether we have to advise them to build capacity or the rest. They know what they are doing is they are taking advantage of the law of the land. And because CBN, they are not up to their task, they didn't raise their game. CBN is the one that needs to build capacity. Because if they are supervising them, all these things will not be happening. So if CBN build capacity, have more staff that visit bank branches, and majority of them, when they want to come and do auditing of the bank will just put them in one room like that, buy tea, buy all sorts of things, and at the end of the day, they envelope something for them. It is what they want them to see that the CBN will see. So
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Maloney. You've spoken to the corruption in the banking sector with those few points of thought. I must thank all our panelists for their candor and the that's the word, for the candor with which they've spoken this evening at the People's Parliament. I want to thank Mr. Fred Okwagba, experienced business administrator, chartered economist, certified financial compliance professional, former deputy manager and team lead in branch cluster control, and also area compliance officer at First Bank in Nigeria. It's a pleasure to have spoken with you in the last few minutes.
Thank you.
On this day. Thank you very much. Also, Mr. Ibukun Akinka, banking professional with over 17 years experience in the banking and financial services industry, migrated to Canada, but he has not left Nigeria. He has his hands, the stabs on what's going on in Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me. It's my pleasure.
Yes. And finally, Mr. Ademola Oni, client relationship manager, transactional origination, and look, I can go on and on. He's an investment and commercial banker with expertise in different areas. It's a thrill to have you join us on the People's Parliament today. Thank you very much. And on that note, for me, as the moderator, I see that we Nigerians have been complacent about the irregularities in the banking sector. I see that we're too laid back. We've allowed indiscipline to go on for too long. I see that we need to hold the CBN to account. And I think Rescue Nigeria should do a part two to this, because we really didn't, cover all that we needed to cover within the minutes allotted to us. And on that note, I'd like to hand over to Chris Tunde over there to take on from here. I am Funke.
Okay, thank you, Funke. I'll be stepping in for Chris. I want to also thank all the panelists for the analysis, for the insights, for the enlightenment, for the solutions suggested, and for their time. I want to thank Ibukwa Inka. Thank you so much. Thank you so very much, sir. I want to thank Demola One. Thank you so very much, sir. And I want to thank Mr. Fred Okwagba. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
I want to thank Funke also, and I want to thank everyone for showing up. It says a lot that you are here today. You are not the only ones that saw the invites, but you had to show up because of your love and your belief in our country. So thank you so much, very much. Now we're going to be making some, material soundbites videos from this session that we'll share on our social media accounts. And by the time we do that, we shall be sharing the links with those who are in our group on WhatsApp, and we shall be also sharing it with the panelists. And on that note, okay, like Funke has said, we may have to do a part 2 of this topic because, like she has rightly said, we have not really covered a lot of grounds, especially as per what the CBN can do. The new CBN governor, we cannot really assess him for now because he came into a big crisis, and I want to believe that the major task that he has had to face is the issue of currency, FX, and all of that. But I want to believe that being not from the banks like the former CBN governor and being not a banker and a bank shareholder, maybe we may also be optimistic that we'll see he'll be a CBN governor that will begin to put some of the things that have gone wrong right. So we are going to, we may reach out to, or we are likely to reach out to you all panelists once again to join the part 2 of this session. Rescue Nigeria will be communicating with you as we plan to do that. So thank you so much, everyone. The People's Parliament will be reconvening in about 2 months' time. We hope that all of us that are here today will also join us then, and that more people will also join us at the next session. Thank you so very much, everyone. Enjoy the rest of the weekend and have a good week ahead. Thank you.
Fellow Nigerians, the purpose of our movement is to turn grieving Nigerians into active citizens who will, through their own efforts, bring about the kinds of change that turn Nigeria into a modern and prosperous society under a strong foundation based on the rule of law. The Initiative for Good and Informed Citizenship, the parent organization for Rescue Nigeria, will make it obvious to all citizens that Nigeria has lost control and that Nigeria cannot succeed if we keep going this way. Since doing the same thing all the time and expecting a different result is called madness. We strongly believe that the situation will not change through fruitless talking by citizens or any incoming national leadership. The change we want is only possible through an active, responsible, and participatory citizenship. The people must be challenged to hold themselves accountable as change definers rather than victims. It is you and us who will make Nigeria what we want it to be. This movement that we're introducing to you today is a citizen movement. Politicians are not welcome. It belongs to you and us, we the people who are tired of living in a badly run country. The ultimate goal of the movement is to create a massive body of politically sophisticated citizens who place a demand on elected leaders and are rewarded with good governance. Our members will not accept bribes, will not be tricked or lied to, and will demand good leadership. The central value of the movement is simple. Good citizenship from ordinary people is the driver for good leadership. The movement will therefore require members to pledge to some rules of behavior. These rules are that the citizen is the first and most important unit of change in Nigeria. In everything, the citizen must act morally and with conscience. If the citizen is successful and Nigeria is not, the individual's greatness is vastly diminished. In whatever a citizen of Nigeria does, It will be for the best public good because directly or indirectly, his or her well-being depends on it. Members will strive to do good at all times while rejecting bad, self-centered, incompetent, and corrupt leadership. Members will eschew tribalism and ethnic rivalry and commit to breaking their transmission to the younger generation. Our organization will build a community of change lovers through the social media, electronic communication, message-driven content, data science, the mass media, the legal systems, and community organizing such as this event. To build capability and capacity, it has become important to build a network of honest, well-meaning, and accessible people like you who can partner with us to increase the scale and scope of our activities to reach a larger audience. Our next steps as a movement include breaking the resistance from frustrated citizens who have concluded that change is not possible and activating their membership. Welcoming those who have benefited unethically from the system but now accept that their success has been tainted, who are now prepared for change by joining our movement for a better Nigeria. Improving the sophistication of our messages, data science capabilities, and the scale of our campaigns. Achieve our objective to raise 10 million followers before the 2023 election. Next steps for you. We urge you to be counted among those who see possibilities and opportunities instead of just challenges in Nigeria. We urge you to see this request as a clarion call for change. We ask for your help to bring your friends, families, classmates, and neighbors in and sponsor an event like this. Thank you.
Naija, which way now?